All right, let's go over to our edge defender rankings right now. All right, count us down, Dalton, from your 5-1, your top 5 edges in the 2024 draft.
So number 5, I actually went Chris Braswell from Alabama. I don't think he's the flashiest player in this draft, but I think he's very, very safe. I think if you take Braswell in your top 50, you're really talking about a guy who I think for multiple years could have somewhere between 8 and 10 sacks. He's a power rusher. He likes to dip and rip. He's a very functional run defender. I think Chris Braswell is a really, really high floor guy that fits in really just about on any team in the league. So I think if you're not going, taking a home run swing on this next guy or say a Darius Robinson or something like that, I think Braswell's a nice, safe pick who could be a starter in the league for a long time. 4, I've got Chop Robinson. And I think this is the home run swing you're taking where he could really be the best pass rusher in this draft. He may end up as that. He just has to play more snaps and get there and more consistently use all of his talent. He's kind of halfway between the next 2 guys I'm about to talk about, where there's you can see the power to speed when he rushes the passer. You can see the closing speed. I mean, he absolutely killed the combine. You can just see all of the athleticism pop. He just needs to do it more consistently. But I would not be shocked if Chop Robinson came out of this draft as the best pass rusher out of all of them. 3, I have Dallas Turner from Alabama. Explosive athlete. The closing speed when he turns the corner is crazy. When he turns the corner on stunts is crazy. You can see just his athleticism running down guys like Jaden Daniels and Jalen Milroe and Joe Milton and Byron Brown. He looks like he plays like a running back almost in an edge defender's body. Even some of his releases coming off against tackles, he's got this stutter release like wide receivers have. Dallas Turner, just a crazy athletic speed rusher. 2, I went Jared Verse over Turner. More of a classic defensive end power rusher who the times when he uses length and leverage, he looks like the best defensive player in the country. He just has to do that more consistently. You could see it slowly as his career went on, and the way he took over at the end of this year in Florida State's last couple of games after Jordan Travis got hurt, just took games over. I mean, you have a guy who can just be the best football player on the field anytime he uses proper technique. But the 2 things with him, when he uses his length and he uses leverage, when he lets guys get in on his chest and things take a little longer, can't have it for Verse. But he's also explosive at his size. To run, I think, a 4.6 flat is crazy. But I think he's as classic a defensive end as you have in this draft. And then 1, which I think Sam wrote about this the other day, and there's been some more movement in the building about this. Laiatu Latu, man, over the last 2 years has been pretty clearly the best defensive player in the country. Going back and watching him again, I think, Max, we have right now, there's a lot of talent in this draft, right? But we have I think 8 elite players that are getting talked about more than everybody else. You have the top 3 quarterbacks, the top 3 receivers, and Brock Bowers and Joe Alt. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think after watching again, I think Latu is the 9th best player in this draft, at least. I know people say the athleticism and you watch the last 2 years of this tape, there aren't any flaws. There's nothing. The arsenal's crazy. And to me, I think the separator might be actually his run defense. Just so fundamentally sound, and his eyes just tell his body where to go and how to get to the football. The only thing I could sit here and say with Latu is you just don't see the explosive speed of Chop or Turner. But I don't really see any flaws in his game, Max. I think if there's any guy here who I could tell you is just not going to bust, it's Laiatu Latu. I think he's the best defensive player in this draft.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm happy that we're all coming around on that, because I think Trevor Sikkema even put Latu as his #1 edge now on the latest PFF NFL Draft Big Board. Check it out, PFF.com. And yeah, I'm happy he's finally getting that love. So I count it down from my 5-1. Top 4 is actually the same, exact same as you. My number 5 guy's a different one. I got Braylon Trice from Washington. Kind of like Jared Verse in a lot of ways, except he just seems like a more of a power edge rusher, where Verse kind of adds more of a speed element to it. But Braylon Trice, man, has been an incredibly productive, incredibly strong player who can win with power, and he's done it consistently for 2 years now. He's been one of the pressure leaders in college football for each of the last 2 seasons. I really like Braylon Trice, man. I think he's a guy that is probably going to go in the second round, and I think he should go a little bit higher than that because of how good he's been in college football the last couple of years. Chop Robinson, I have at number 4. I'm going to say it right now, though. I am dangerously close to putting Chop at number 3 above Dallas Turner because I think Chop Robinson, his athleticism, man, is rare. And I understand he hasn't been on the field as much as someone like Dallas Turner, but when he is, dude, he's elite in every advanced metric that we have. He's 97th percentile in pass rush win rate, 99th percentile in pass rushing grade over the last 2 years, 87th percentile in run defense grade. I think there's more to Chop Robinson than people give him credit for. So, yeah, I think Chop Robinson deserves to be a first-round pick, and I think I am really close to putting him above Dallas Turner. I think it's that close between him and Dallas Turner. But Dallas Turner I have at number 3 because he's done it more than Chop Robinson. He's been on the field more than Chop Robinson. Robinson's was kind of a rotational piece for Penn State last year, battled some injuries this year as well. Dallas Turner has been more of a consistent player in terms of getting on the field. He's still been an incredible athlete who's been a productive player. I just don't think the production is as dominant as people make it out to be, and that's why I'm hearing a lot of smoke right now about Dallas Turner being the first defensive player off the board and a top 10 pick. I'm not there, man. I don't know if Dallas Turner deserves to be a top 10 pick in this draft. So I have him at number 3. Jared Verse at number 2. I think you covered it really well. Great speed to power, man. He is a really, really strong player who can honestly play quicker than you expect for someone that size. And he's been a really, really good player, both as a run defender and pass rusher for Florida State in each of the past 2 years. And then number 1 is the best defensive player in college football last year, Latu, who actually set the PFF record for the highest graded season we've ever given to a Power 5 player at a 96.3 mark. And guys right below him were Blake Corum last year in his unbelievable season for Michigan, Chase Young in his great year before he became the number 2 overall pick for Ohio State, one of the most dominant years I've ever seen for a college defensive player. Quinnen Williams, another incredibly dominant year he had before getting selected number 3 overall by the Jets. And Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida, who obviously on one of the best tight end seasons we've ever seen, became the number 4 overall pick. So you're talking about 3 guys who were top 5 picks in the draft because of their final seasons, and Latu is being projected as a top 2025 pick, honestly, which I don't quite understand. But I think his advanced pass rushing moves is unbelievable, man. Some length questions for sure, but I don't really think the athleticism questions are really there anymore. He tested out as a 93rd percentile athlete at his pro day and combine, so really good athlete as well. So I think Latu is edge 1 for me, edge 1 for you, edge 1 for Trevor Sikkema, and deserves to be edge 1 in the NFL draft, even though I don't think he will be. I think he will be probably the third edge defender off the board if I had to make a prediction right now, which I don't think is very fair to him. But who is the sleeper Dalton that you have in this draft right now?
I'm going to go over to Colorado State. Let me get Muhammad Kamara. He had an excellent combine. He had multiple pressures in all but 1 game this year for Colorado State. But they didn't make a bowl game. But by the end of the regular season, he was 2nd in the country in pressures behind Braylon Trice. Top 10 pass rush grade, top 10 true pass rush grade. Not the best run defender in the world, but he checks all the boxes as a solid pass rusher. And there's multiple games against Power 5 teams, against Washington State, against Vanderbilt, against Michigan, I believe in 2022, where he had solid games rushing the passer. This guy, he's just a pure, he's not the longest guy either, only 6'1", not the longest arms, but he just finds his way to the quarterback. I think, and especially on a team like that really, really struggles in most other aspects, he was by far their best player. There are multiple games this year where you can see, I believe he had 2 games with at least 10 pressures, including the Colorado game on a big stage. Just a really solid, sometimes he rushes with power more so than length and speed, but just a really good pass rusher, really consistent during his career at Colorado State, and was dominant this year. I believe it was a 91.2 pass rush grade. I would take Kamara probably as something close to a 4th, maybe even late 3rd round sleeper.
Yeah, I like him a lot. And another guy who I think is probably going to end up being a 5th round pick, honestly, is another UCLA edge defender in Gabriel Murphy. And they actually have 3 UCLA edge defenders in this draft. Latu, obviously, as our number 1 guy, Gabriel Murphy, and then Gabriel's actually twin brother, Grayson Murphy. Both of them transferred over from North Texas, both incredibly productive there. And then both were actually really productive at UCLA as well. I like Gabriel a little bit more, though. He kind of is like a a diet Latu in a lot of ways, where it's like they don't have great size, they don't have great length. They're both really good athletes and better athletes than they get credit for. Because I know Gabriel Murphy, one of his questions too, like Latu, has been his athleticism. Again, Murphy, like Latu, 93rd percentile athlete, like he tested out as. So I understand the on-field stuff is more important, but like when you test out like that, it's almost like, okay, you can't really say he's a bad athlete anymore because he's proved that he's not. And his kind of, you know, what I like about him the most is the same as Latu, where it's like these guys, their technique is so good, man. I think he's a really, really good technical player, really good pass rush plan, really good counter moves I like as well from Gabriel Murphy. He is a 3-4 outside linebacker only. I don't think you could put him as a 4-3 defensive end because he's a little bit smaller at 6'2", 247. But like I said, man, with Latu, a lot of the same things with Latu just kind of toned down a little bit. So I really like Gabriel Murphy, and I think he could be a productive player in the NFL. And right now, if you're going to get him as a 5th round pick, like he's being projected right now, I think that's a really good value if you're looking for someone in a 3-4 defense to add as a good pass rusher for you. Obviously, the strength is going to be a question mark for him, and that's why he's going to be a day 3 pick. But man, he showed a lot of stuff as a pass rusher that I really like, and he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. So Gabriel Murphy from UCLA is the guy I want to shout out as my sleeper at edge defender.